Hello and welcome back, guys. Here, and I'm back with the AS tutorial for the AvoiderGame, right? So today we're going to be going over these things that I created. Now these were originally created during another episode, but I was really stupid and it messed with everything else and it's all screwed up. So today all you need to do is to download the source code, and I'll tell you what to do. There's no comments here. Let me show you what a comment is. This. Basically, this is something the code will completely ignore, and you can write whatever you want. You can type it. I don't know what you want to do. You can do whatever you want in there. The code doesn't care. So that's a comment. This is a one-line comment. You can see it's not, as you can see when code is, it's grayed out if it's a comment. If it's not a comment code, I should look at it. So now if we take in, that. As you can see, that is another kind of comment. Basically, it's the start and the end. This is just want to do it for multiple lines, and also you can comment out parts of your code instead of deleting them when you find an error, which is quite nice. So yeah, we'll be going over this. Now, it looks very much mind-boggling if you're not an expert AS person, but if you are, then if you're good at it, you can do other programming languages. That would be it. So this was supposed to be episode 3, but now it's 2 because I was really stupid on that first recording of it. So let's start. So right now, last time we created these, well, the AS linkage. So you hit. So as you can see here, see these symbols here we created last episode. Well, we can right click it, and we're gonna hit properties. And in the properties, as you can see here, and by the way, normally it looks like this, but you click on the advanced arrow, now it tells you everything. So whatever this is, I don't know, just don't click on that one. Don't click on this one yet. I'm not sure about this one, just don't click on that one yet. And then there's ActionScript linkage. So yeah, what does that mean? Well, it means that it's linked to ActionScript when you use it. Like, it's actually linked to you so you can mess with the code. So there's export for ActionScript and export in frame 1. Now I checked both of these because we're going to be doing the game on frame 1. And then a class is called, as you can see, this name is a shield spray. It's a circle. It's the actual shield. It's when the player touches the shield, that's what the shield's actually going to look like. And there's a base class. The base class, by default, it will be flash.display.movie clip. That's what it'll look like when you type it in. When you type in class, you just click on shield, just type in shield spray. When you click on it, it'll default the actual name of the symbol. So yeah, but this has to be the name of the ActionScript file you're gonna create later here. And by default, just leave it, just let it be there. And we actually created this thing. So let's go over creating the shield class. So let's create a new one. Let's just go over how we're going to create the shield class. So yeah, the ActionScript file. So first of all, you type in the word package. Now I'm just going to do it again. I know I've already done it, but I can do it again, and I'm going to delete this after. So package. Whoops, wrong one. You shift and use the curly bracket in, which is on your keyboard. It's on top of the square bracket. And you hit enter. Now it automatically creates a second square bracket and boots you up for everything. Now, as a footnote here, all this code you can just put in one line. You can just put everything like here, and you can put this. You put here. You can go over. You put this line here. I put this line, and I put this line and this thing right over here, right after this. And they can put all of this code on one line. But the reason you don't is because it looks really ugly. Let's call this, since we're doing the shield spray class again. Now, by the way, they all have to be in the same folder. And we're just going to call it shield spray. Save it in desktop. Because I'm going to delete this after anyways. So, type in blockage. Now, let's type in public class. Now, what's a class? You probably don't know what this is yet, but a class is not like a class. It's kind of not really a class in school, actually. A class is basically stuff. Is basically a chunk with stuff in it. That's it. That's what a class is. It literally is a thing with stuff in it. Now, package. Package basically defines what package it's in. Now, for this game we're making right now, we don't need to define anything in the package. We can just call it package. We can just say that. and then public class. The package is kind of the way to store it. Mainly, the only reason you do this is for an API. So an API is basically a little chunk of code that can do stuff that basically does things that are normally harder to do. So it makes an API. So a programmer makes an API, and then other programmers download the API to use it. And when they're using the API, it basically makes coding stuff easy. But we're not using any API, so there's no package here. And then here's a public class. So the class will always be the same name as the also have the exact same name as the file here. Always. No matter what happens, unless you're creating multiple classes, and one thing I'm not sure about that one though, I would not recommend creating multiple ones unless you feel like unless you really know what you're doing. Totally chills, but yeah. And then extend movie clip. That means it just basically extends movie clip. I'm not exactly sure what exactly extends movie clip actually means, but just include it here because we're dealing with this movie clip, even though technically we're not, because we're just making a class again. So it's class, right? As you can see here, there's the import statement. But whatever, before we do that, we got to do this. Now, how are we going to be using the shield spray class? So, we're going to be using it as creating a shield spray object, something like this. So, right, we haven't even gone over the basics yet. Wow, I'm stupid. So here it is. Now, let's go over the code here. So there's a variable, something called a variable. Now, variable, or it's actually called right now. There's actually no variables in it. They're all objects. Now, objects and variables are very close together. They're declared in the same way. So basically, declared means the way you write them. Variable, integer 1 is an integer. Integer, you probably know what this is. It's also another way to declare is a number or an integer. So same way to declare numbers. Number, you know what I mean, right? Number basically lets you use decimals, integers. Ow, that hurt. Something else already. So yeah. So for a variable, you just declare a value and you put a semicolon. Now, the reason you need a semicolon is it tells you that this line is done. Go to the next line. If you don't, it'll just go like wee. Nothing I can find. I don't care. Nothing's happening. But normally your compiler, when you control enter, compiler will catch that. Now, when it's a compiler, you probably don't know what that is either. If you're not a programmer, if you program in any other language other than any language that compiles into something, you probably know what a compiler is. So short note, compiler is something that turns your code that you write down into code that a computer can read. Basically turns the code that a human can read into code that a computer can read. So I'll go on. I'll make a new text file here. Make a new text file here. So here, now wait, let me see. Let me just close Windows D. Now I can server you have tons of random stuff. Oh yeah, for sure. Look at that one. Okay, so yeah. Let's close this. Now, so here's something that here's an example of what a computer can read. Just look at this here. So we're gonna Minecraft. Let's go Minecraft. Here's a compiled piece of code. We're gonna edit with Notepad++. Here's what it looks like. And here's what editing with Notepad looks like. Make a little copy of it. Copy and rename it to a .txt file, so I can read it. Default Notepad here, and give it a sec here. This is what the code that a computer can read looks like. Not very pretty. Yeah. So yeah, that is what a compiler does. Now, back to these things. So this is the variable. Yeah. So variable holds a value. You can even so this is how you declare it. So first of all, you type in var, var, and you type in the name of the variable, colon, and then the type of variable, and then equal sign to tell you that it's equals to whatever value is. Now you don't actually have to do that. You can do this, but it won't have a value. So in order to give it a value, you have to type it. Now you can't. Just so you know, if you don't actually declare the actual value of the variable. You can't use it in this statement now. I talked about if statements later. Well, we're actually doing the AI in the next episode, because today we're just going to be doing the things here. So yeah. Sure. Integer 1 equals to whatever. So 9. That will work. Yeah. But normally it's just easier to just type equals to 9. And then there's an object. Object is very, very similar to variable. Except let's go clock. And let's give it wrong spell. Is it colon? And then the type of variable. Now, sorry, the type of object. It's a timer. And same with equal sign, but now you type in new, and then the object name with 2 brackets, normal brackets. Now, in Flash will automatically tell you what Flash Professional. It'll automatically tell you what parameters. A parameter, basically the parameter is parameter name, colon, parameter type. So it tells you have to input a number in. The name here, you don't have to care about it. It's just usually there to just help you with what it is. It also is the name of the actual parameter. So let's say so here, as you can see, here's a public. This is actually called the constructor. And I'll tell you what constructors are later. But basically, short note. When I try to declare an object, an object of type shield sprite in the main.fla, it'll tell me that it'll tell me I need 3 parameters, and this is what I will see for the parameters. I'll see x pose colon integer comma y pose colon int speed colon array. That's what I'll see. Yeah. So yeah, that is thing. The timer is a little bit different, and there's different objects to different things. Also, there's an array object. So I'll show you later what it does. But this dot parameters, what does it mean? Well, this basically means you can do this. As long as these are actual variables, as you can see, as long as these names are actual variables, then this is totally valid. But it's not, because you can actually use the value of a variable here. So the way you use it to a value of a variable is like that, as you can see. And also there's some default variables that are like oh, you link to certain things. Like the y variable is already part of the actual movie clip class, which is here. Yeah. So, yeah. So here's so Seth, because erg was an actual variable, then this would be totally, and all of these other things. So this is how you actually say a variable. Now you can always just declare a string. That's a little bit different. String looks like this. Now string is another kind of variable. What is a string? No, it is not a piece of string. It is a string of characters. What's a character? You sure know what it is. Here it is. Here is the string. It's basically it'll be shown in green. You have to put it inside of these things, of these quotations. That's the only way you tell you the difference between a string and a variable. Because a string could have the same name as could have like this. Like you can have a variable name like test, and then a string that is also test. Now that's actually not the name of the string. You can actually create a name of the string variable called test and have it called test. Like literally, you can do this. This is how you declare a string variable. Same way you declare the integer. This is allowed. So basically saying that the variable test contains a string test. Yeah, that's it. So now let's actually go over some code here. So first of all, before we start with all this stuff, you have to go over the if statement. What is an if statement? Well, an if statement looks like this. That's it. Now, what are you putting here? Well, normally you can just put like this. You can actually just put like, here. So first of all, what is it? Well, there's actually supposed to be something inside the brackets. What's inside the brackets? Well, it's the condition. Now you can type in. So if something is true, it'll go to the next thing. So you can type in true, and it will go through, because that is something. It's actually a variable something, a value in the Boolean thing, which is Boolean is true or false. That's it. So if true, that literally means 8 equals 6. And then there's also things like an output tree. You can compare numbers. If a equals to 5. Now, as you can see here, or something else. Why do I put 2 equal signs? There's also 3 equal signs, by the way, but I'll use 2. Right? I don't know how 3 even works. What's the point of 3 equal signs? So 2 means that it is your comparison, and 1 equal sign means change the value to that. So of course 6 equals 0 wouldn't work, because 6 is not a variable and also it's a number. So yeah, so a equals to 6. That means the variable a equals to 6, and a equals to 6. If it said a equals to 6, with 2 equal signs, it means that means output true. Actually, sorry. It means that this statement is true if a actually equals to 6. Well, this just changes the value of the whatever variable to the one, and you can actually do this with objects too, by the way. If array 1, and I should just actually like this. You guys should just do this, and this way you can just do whatever you want there. So by the way, if statements don't, since you don't have this, like guys, they don't have the semicolon like that. So I can't do this, but the thing is that it can only have 1 line for it. You only get 1 line for it. If you want to make a multi-line if statement, you have to do that. And everything inside the curly brackets is now part of the if statement. So yeah. So the top is just for the comparison. So if it outputs true, it goes to the next statement. Let's type in, and this is just basically what happens, like what you do, what the program does. And then there's also an else. Else basically means if the if statement doesn't work, or if all the other else if statements don't work, then just jump to the else statement. Else the same way the if statement, but doesn't have a condition. So yeah, else if. Now let's go to else if. Else, and you type in the word if after it. Same thing as an if statement. Basically means if the if statement doesn't work, go to the else if statement. If there's multiple ones, just go to so it basically does this one, and this one, and there's another else if statement after it, goes to the next one, this one, and there's an else statement that just goes to the last one. So that's how the else if statement works. Now you might be thinking, why can't I just type if, another if, and then just type another if, and not use else if? Well, you could, but there are some problems. Now, else if is part of one if statement. Now, basically, from the first if, so if you have multiple if statements in one block of code, like one class or function, also in a class, by the way, a function is something else. It's basically a function. I'll show you what it is. It's very simple. It's really important, mostly because it's just important. Okay. So else if. What's else if? Well, basically, this is the if statement. If we had another else if, that else if will also be part of the same if statement. But if I put another if statement, then it becomes another if statement. So basically, this basically means it checks for these once. That means it checks for this once. If it doesn't work, then it'll go to this one. But if this does work, then it will just go to the whatever's next after. Let's call this D. So basically, if this works, then it'll just go straight to D. But if it was else if, but if this didn't work, it'll go to else if and then go to D. But if I just had two if statements, this is the way it worked. If this didn't work, it would just go to this if statement and then go to D. But if this did work, it will still go to the next one, and if both worked, it will go to D. So both will be triggered, and that's a problem. And that could be a problem. But honestly, if you don't want to, then if you want to build the check for indefinitely really fast, then I'll just I don't want to use it. Just understand that. Now functions. This is very simple. So function. Now, as you can see, it's actually typing something before variable. What does this all mean? Well, private, public, and protected. They all mean the same thing within the functions and variables, which is great. And I'm not sure about classes. I'm not sure if there's a private class such thing as that. I'm not sure if there is, but yeah. So I'm not sure if there's a private class, but yeah. So public means available to everything. That means available to everyone. Everyone within the same program. So it basically means it can be shared. Now, there's also protected. Protected means everything means within the same file. That means if there's another class within the file, then to protect it, then you can use the same function with another one. And private basically means specific only to that class. That means if something is a private function, then it cannot be used with anywhere else inside of it. With anywhere else except for inside the class. That's all it means. And there's a function. A function is basically the same way you declare a variable, except no, it's not. So function, so you follow it start with the function. Now there are other programming languages like Java and other things where you don't put the function, and you don't put the variable. It's a little bit different, but yeah. So basically you start with the name, and then these two brackets, and then this thing. This thing you saw in the if statement. Curly bracket basically means everything within the curly brackets is part of a function. So what does a function do? It does stuff. That's all I can tell you. It does stuff. It literally just does stuff. Yeah, that's it. It does stuff. Yeah. So whenever I call the function, now this one is a constructor function, by the way, so I can't really call it like the way you would normally call it, but this function called despawn, I can call it. So I can call it like this. That's what it means. I can call it like this. So simply you would call a variable, except instead of having to use it, either change a value or use the value, you can just put like that. And you do need a e:" timer event, by the way. Now that means I have to put a timer event in it. If I type equals a null, but whatever. So I'm going to go over the parameters for functions later. So we just call it this, and if there's a parameter, it'll tell you. So it'll tell you if I type in despawn here. It tells me I need a timer event. Right, so that's how you call it. And basically what it does is it just executes the code. So normally, if you just put code here, it'll normally be used, but if it's in a function, it won't be used straight away. Unless you call it. If you do call the function, it will be used. That means if you call it with if an event listener calls the update function, it'll trigger this. This update has nothing in it, because I copied this from another class, the enemy class, and the update did have something in it. So yeah. And now public, this one is a constructor. I'll show you what the parameter is now. So parameters declare the same way as a variable, except you don't need the variable, the var part, and you don't need to declare a value for it ever. Initially, you could declare a value for it, and that's the value it will default to. You know, if the player if they don't want to actually put in a value, you can just have it default to another value. So yeah. Let's see what's going on. So a parameter basically means when you use a function, it will ask for a parameter. Basically, you just put the parameter like this, despawn. And you just put in the parameter in here, whatever that is. If that is a timer event object, if that is a timer event, then that will work. But it's not, so it won't. It'll give me an error. It'll give me an error when I try to compile. So that's how you put in a parameter. And if this required an integer like set position, like put in this. That means the x and the y, and yeah. So basically the way a parameter works is that the usefulness of a parameter. A parameter, basically the way a parameter is used is that it basically acts like a normal variable. Basically, when you declare the function, that is the value. That will be what the value of a variable will be. That's what the value of the parameter will be set to. So this one, so if I declare like this, then this one will be set to 1, and this one means that this one will be also set to 1. That means x will equal to 1, and y equals to 1. That is how you declare parameters. Let's go over constructor functions. Now, constructor functions are always public, because if they weren't public, they would be almost useless. If they were private, there's no point in even using them. So constructor function is basically a function. So when you declare it, except you have parameters. So basically, the constructor will always, no matter what, have the same name as a class. Same name as a class, you can see here. So if I would go back to this class now, I'll have public. Great. And then I'll put in the parameter one. Let's say I want to have the speed of moves at. Spruce that. And then x let's call it x y And yeah, and you put in a curly bracket, and you type in whatever you want in here. Now, it's just the way it works. And everything you want to do so basically you want to do when a function is used. So basically a constructor is a structure for an object. Isn't here? So you declare it. So basically it's a works for an object. So basically enemy, that's an enemy, equals to new enemy. Now we are declaring, now that means we are actually using the constructor function named enemy within the class called enemy right over here. We're using this function right now. Oh, sorry, this one. And basically the way we use it is like this. So we put in the necessary parameters with the necessary things. Okay, let's call it 1 and 1 and I already have it right here. And that will execute that constructor function. And it doesn't actually have to set variables. It also, as you can see, it also executes the initialize function, which sets the speed of the thing. Using the speeds array, and it also starts a timer clock. Now, a little note about here is that all of these are constructors. Is that when there's a variable, basically they never use static variables. Basically, a static variable is another one of those modifiers. It means like private and static. And normally I wouldn't use static because static is a whole thing, but in Java you use static a lot. Until you really start getting into multiple classes, then static becomes like you don't use it anymore. So yeah, basically static means that a variable, you can only have one instance of that variable. That basically means when the variable is declared, you only have one copy of it. You got one copy. You only have one copy. So say speed. Now, really, static is only useful when you declare it with a public modifier, that is. So if it's a public static. Now, speed, that means the speed will be available to everyone, and there's only one instance of it. That means multiple things can't have a different speed variable. But, since the constructor is used to create an object, you never declare an object's variables, any of these variables here, to be static. Because otherwise, you can only have one instance of it. So basically, that means I can have two enemy objects on the screen, and one could be falling down like this, and the other one could be falling down like this. They can be falling down with a different speed, and the speed, really, what I mean is that the speed of the actual enemy. Since I have the update function that tells the enemy to move down. By the way, actually use a plus to this. You probably don't know what it is yet, but basically I can have it move down at different speeds. Because they have different speed, they have different values for their speed variable, which is what non-static does, because that's very useful. Yeah. So you probably are still trying to wrap your head around all this object stuff. We'll do a little exercise for now. So let's do an exercise. So let's go over here. Let's go over here actually. And we'll declare. And we'll start with something. So let's start with. I'll show you here. So private variable speed. So you need a speed. So let's have speed. Let's have it colon integer. And instead of having a thing, you just have a set speed here. So I don't feel like having a different speed here. Now we also need a clock to tell it when to die, right? So type in private variable clock, and you will automatically do an import thing. I'll show you what the import is right now. Actually, equals the new timer. Doesn't import for some reason. I'm not sure why, but port flash dot. There you go. Yeah. So an import statement basically means I can use everything from this class. I'm pretty sure if I don't, I have to type in like flash equals the new So basically, I had to declare this timer like that, which was a lot more which personally, in my opinion, is a lot more complicated because it's really annoying. So yeah, that's a timer. That's a timer class. So yeah, now we want the timer to start. Actually, no, we want it to die after 5 seconds. Now we'll count in milliseconds because you kind of get 1 millisecond for no reason. I'm not sure why. I mean, if you just type in thousands and type in 5, that means 5 seconds. And we can type in. Now we just type. First of all, you type in speed. This is not speed. This means that we use a speed specific to the program. Equals to 1 parameter. X equals to X. Y equals to Y. As you can see, there are different variables. And type in clock dot add event listener. Sorry, event listener. Timer event dot timer complete. Timer complete. Clock dot start. That will start the timer. You can actually take timer dot clock dot reset. You can dot reset. That means it will reset the whatever it is. It will reset. It'll just reset the timer. So it does. Now it'll just reset the thing. Timer just clock dot start. You can stop the timer. You can also reset it. Now we need to type in public function. And also, by the way, we actually have to type in the function of the trigger when the event happens. When the event becomes true, we have to trigger. So event listener basically listens for an event. That literally, it's what it is. Very self-explanatory. So what event does it listen for? Go. Geo. It's called the event Geo. Geo. E. Timer event. That means basically because it'll give me a function named time. Sorry, an object named an object with type timer event when the function is triggered. Just so you know, just the way Flash works. Yeah. Now let's say what we're finished. Let's say the timer finishes. Let's say. Let's say it's x plus. Like it moves like x. It's x coordinate plus equals to 100 or something like that. So after 5 seconds, so when you create it, after 5 seconds, it goes crazy. It adds it moves 100 pixels to the right. So now I have to import the movie class, by the way. Dot display. Oh wait, that's not right. Why am I typing flash display dot timer? Not right. Here it is. Here's how this way. Here it is. So here it is now. That's how. So that's all the imports now. So it looks like. And by the way, this actually doesn't work because I haven't linked it to anything yet. So also, yeah, I haven't linked it to anything yet, so it doesn't do anything. Really, it won't really do anything because you actually need a object with the name of Shield Spray that's actually linked to a class named Shield Spray. As you can demonstrate here, as you can see, this one linked to it because first of all, it's in the same folder, so it's obviously linked to it. And there's also these things are empty because I don't really have anything in them that I don't really need. Like this is just like a template I have, so yeah. So here's Shield Spray. As you can see, I can place. I can hit properties. I click on properties. Now I click properties. I can look at this. You can see I have to export it or whatever. I'll create it, whatever. So yeah, that is the Shield Spray. Really, it's just a little thing. So just an explanation of how to actually use ActionScript. Because it's pretty complicated. And also, I think it's very hard to actually teach it because most other programming languages have some way to introduce slowly, but with ActionScript, it's just all in. No one cares. It's just all in, And if you can't handle the craziness of it, then yeah. So, hopefully you know how to do it. Now, this little tutorial, this little explanation of how to do AppConstruct. Next time we'll probably, now I'll let you on source code, you can mess with it. Now, you know, the main here, the only thing in here I decided this, and just you know, when you're actually declaring the, when you're creating one of these objects here, you will have to say, you have to add the add child, and then, oh, sorry. Yeah. Hit add child and the name of the object. The name of the object to actually add it to the, basically to add it to the frame, I'm guessing. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it basically adds it to the frame. Now you can mess with it, and just as a last thing to say, you know, put maybe decimals because it goes really fast. It goes down 1,000 pixels a second if it's at one. So, see you guys. I'll leave the source code up for download. Bye.